Hi everyone, how we doing? Awesome, great to see you all. Thank you for being here. I mean, it's a beautiful day in Austin and you could be anywhere, and hopefully you're all in the right room. You know, you're here for the workshop, right? The A to Z of DSP tools and tips. Yes. Perfect. And for anyone else, I'm sorry and you're welcome. But let's get started. You've probably seen this slide 10 times. I wasn't trying to torture you, but I'm just trying to lighten the mood before we get into this. There may be a few little fun things throughout the presentation. It gives me a talk break. I'm notorious for losing my voice, for talking too much. A few of my colleagues in the room here will confirm that. So, as you can see.
Pressure! Pushing down on me! Pressing down on you! No matter what! Under pressure! That burns a building down! Splits a family in two! Puts people and...
That's enough. Okay, so welcome everybody once again. So we have an hour and a half, which is pretty freaking cool, and I've been told we can go for as long as we want, but I'm going to respect everyone's time. But I will let you know, if it comes to that point, I'm happy to stick around and do Q&As after as well. So I don't want anyone to leave with questions in your mind. I'm going to be hanging around as long as it takes. So quick introductions, cue the overhyped, high quality video presentation, but the short story is I started out as a DJ and got into music production myself, was trying to release music with various record labels. I eventually made the decision with my friends that you can see on the screen here back home in Australia, and we started a project called Date Night. We went completely independent, and that's actually footage of our first show in a venue in Australia called Prohibition in Brisbane, Queensland. I got to go back and hang out with my friends and perform all our music live, and it was incredible. You may notice throughout the presentation there's a QR code in the top right corner. That is going to link to things such as things I mentioned in the presentation, notes, things like that. I'm certainly not expecting you to scribble hundreds of pages of notes during this. And I did want to let you know that this session was completely full, the RSVP. So I did get the permission to actually record the presentation that's going on here. None of you are actually going to be recorded, but just so I can share it for everyone else that couldn't be here today as well. So jumping to the next slide, this is what happened after releasing music independently and why I'm here today. So made a lot of mistakes along the way, had a lot of fun, documented the process and shared it with a lot of artists, and realized that I actually enjoy that even more than making music itself, because when you're releasing music yourself, you don't really have anyone else to celebrate with. So that allowed me to write and release 2 books, Work Hard, Playlist Hard, and also opportunities like this in various places around the United States and even around the world now as well, to just be able to share everything I've learned and try and help as many artists as I can. So for the most part, I'm talking to independent artists, but really I'm talking to anyone that just wants either a refresher on all of the tools that have come out from the streaming platforms, some of the things that may have been missed, because there's been a lot that's changed, especially in the last few years. And originally I was meant to be doing this in 2020 at South by Southwest, and we know what happened, the pandemic. So this is actually my first time to be able to do this in person at South by Southwest. So very excited, and there's a lot to cover, and I'm gonna say a lot. So I'm gonna throw up this disclaimer just to protect myself. So all comments, jokes, good or bad, material shared is general advice. I'm not speaking on behalf of any employer, current or former. And all of this is general advice. So still do your own research as well. Ask around, ask your colleagues, ask your friends. And just wanted to throw this up as well. Playlist is a buzzword. We are going to be talking about playlists a lot, but I want to be clear that a playlist is not and should not be your entire marketing plan. Getting on playlists is great, but there's so much more that you can do that can help music to get heard by more people. So yes, we will be talking about playlists, but we'll be talking about a lot of other tools as well. And just putting up my handle on here as well, I don't have a videographer or a photographer, so if at any point you do take any snaps of this, please feel free to tag me on social media as well. I'd greatly appreciate it, and I'll happily share that. And I see Rodrigo doing that right now. Appreciate it. So a lot of the examples I'm going to share will be around my own music. It's not because I want it to be just me pushing my own music to all of you. It's just, in fairness, I wouldn't feel right putting up numbers or other information relating to other artists without their consent. And also it helps to just get an understanding of what we've managed to achieve as independent artists over the years. So these numbers may need to be updated a little since the last time I did this, but this is talking about my group date night, which I mentioned is myself and 2 friends back in Australia. So we started in September 2015. To date, pun intended, we've had over 10 million Spotify streams. We've been on 19 Spotify editorial playlists, and we've had over 1.6 million streams from Spotify editorial playlists. One thing that is really interesting that I like to point out here is if we go down further, you can see that the top 100 third-party playlists have actually generated more streams than those editorial playlists. So when we say third party, these are user-created playlists that anyone can create on the platform. It could be a brand, or it could just be an individual that has really good music taste. And out of the 100,000 plus user-created playlists that our music has been on, regardless of size, they've generated over 1.7 million streams to date. And we've had over 2.2 million unique listeners since we first launched as well. So that's pretty cool, 2.2 million people that have heard at least one song. So I'm putting this up on the screen. I did this at Indie Week. I did a quick survey of all the attendees and just asked them, hey, which DSPs can you pitch music to, and do you have access to various tools? And you can see it was very much Spotify leaning at the time. This was mid last year. But the reason I put this up is most of these platforms we're actually going to talk about in this presentation today as well. So, you know, there are people in the room that may not have ever heard of Anghami, and that's okay. You know, we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on JioSaavn. We're going to talk about a few platforms that may be new to you, and I encourage you to be open to that as well. So I encourage everyone to always have a checklist. And what I mean by that is, let's say we're talking about a release that's coming up. There's so many things that need to be done along the way. And so for me personally, I always have a checklist on my phone. I create a new to-do list, and I duplicate that for each release, and then I check things off, and it's so satisfying when you get to the end. Some people go as far as doing it 8 weeks out, 7 weeks out, 6 weeks out. And hopefully through this presentation, you'll get some things that you can add to your checklist as well. So we're going to start. I mentioned we're going from A to Z. So we've made it all the way to A so far, but we're at Amazon Music. And Amazon Music, they launched their artist platform in 2020, Amazon Music for Artists. And there's a number of different tools that they provide. The one that we're going to see on the next slide is they have the opportunity for you to connect your Twitch channel with your Amazon Music artist profile. And what that looks like, as you can see here, is you'll go live on Twitch, and you'll also go live within the Amazon Music app at the same time. So you're reaching people on 2 different apps. Some people may follow you on Amazon Music, some people may follow you on Twitch. I personally don't have the Twitch app on my mobile device, but I do have it on my TV. So it's an opportunity to reach more fans when going live by connecting the two. And just another example of what that looks like on the left. So on my device, I got a notification that at the time Disclosure was live. So I was able to tune in and watch that live stream directly from the Amazon Music app, which I would have otherwise missed. The next thing I wanted to talk about with Amazon is merch. And so artists have the opportunity to also create their own merch store. As you can see, the example here is amazon.com/MaryJBlige. And the way that artists do this is you can create merch on Amazon, and it doesn't have to just be artist merch. You may have other things that you've created as well. But going to merch.amazon.com, you upload a design, there's different options you can choose from. You can choose to ship it yourself. You can choose to have Amazon print and ship it for you using their Prime shipping options. But artists have the ability to then claim their own artist store and have a page like this in Amazon Music, and also have that merch show on their artist profile as well. I'm going to skip a couple of slides coming up in the interest of time, but Amazon Music for artists allow pitching for playlist programming and beyond that, editorial programming. So this was actually an excited screenshot I took when this was first announced. I tend to do that. I get excited about way too much sometimes, but this allows you to pitch your music for consideration from the Amazon Music team. Yes, for playlists, but it also will allow them to send a push notification to your followers, informing them that you have a new release. And the only way that can happen is if this form has been filled out. But in addition to that, and we're going to get into AI a little later and how there may be less human editors at some of the streaming platforms now, and there's a lot of radio and endless listening modes. But by filling out this form, and all of the other pitch forms will cover, you're opening up your music to more potential listeners by adding additional information to complement that music. So you're tagging the mood, the genre, the instruments used, the background of the contributors. There's a lot of information that you can include there as well. So this is a video recording of the entire pitch process. I'm not going to run it. It is up on my YouTube channel. It runs for about 5 minutes, but essentially it goes step by step through every single option in the form, why you add that information, how it can benefit you, and what you should add in those pitch forms. And Amazon Music do send notifications if you are added to an editorial playlist or other programming as well, so you can get notifications directly on your mobile device. They also have the ability for you to share a spotlight. So this is a voice recording that will accompany your music, speaking directly to your fans. So some of these features I will mention are only available to fans in the US. So if you aren't US based and you're testing these, they may be coming soon, but they're not beta features as such. It's just some of these features are US only right now. But a spotlight is a great way to send a voice message to anyone that is listening to your music, accompanying that song. It could be some general information about how the song was created. It could be telling fans about an upcoming album. It's totally up to you what you would like to share in that. And just putting this up, I should mention that a lot of these infographics you can grab directly from the source. So you can grab this by going to artists.amazonmusic.com, which is their information site for artists. And separate to that, artists.amazon.com is where you sign up and get access. Now, I mentioned Anghami before. Is there anyone here that hasn't heard of Anghami? Okay, perfect. Love to see that. So Anghami does exist here in the US, but due to licensing, a lot of music doesn't show. So what I found is artists will go to Anghami and they'll say, my music's not on there, why would I pay any attention? But the reality is, in other parts of the world, your music is available in Anghami. So I had a friend in Dubai, and I said, would you mind logging in and checking if my music is available? And surely enough, it was. And I started to pay attention, and I realized there's some good opportunities in there to reach people where they listen to music. That's something I'm going to say a lot in this is, you may have your own platform that you like to use where you listen to music, but that doesn't mean your fans will go to that platform. Even Jay-Z, some of the largest artists in the world, Beyonce, they can't tell everyone you need to listen on this app. Fans will listen where they want to listen. So I started to pay attention to Anghami and look into the features that they have available. So one of them is, it's interesting, yes, you can distribute music via most distributors, but you can also upload music directly, replace the artwork yourself, and you can upload videos directly into the platform. You also have the option, as you can see in the left menu, to pitch to a playlist. And there is a video of the process of, I'll go back, there is a video of the process of pitching to a playlist on my YouTube channel as well. Again, it's about 5 minutes of your time, but what's interesting is Anghami will actually ask you to tell them which playlist you think your music would be best suited to, which is extremely helpful because that way it gets to the right person and it's a yes or a no versus hoping it gets to the right person. So, and this is just what some of the notifications look like in the Anghami for Artists app. And just a couple more features that they have. They have highlights and milestones. We're going to see more of that with some of the other platforms coming up, but essentially milestones and highlights, a lot of this is cool shareable information, things you can share on social media. An image is created for you, a link is generated, in some cases text is generated, so you just have to share, which I love. Yes?
If your music is not available in the US but is available elsewhere, can you still work on all of the tracks in the Artist app in the US?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So, and that's going to be the case with a lot of these platforms I'm talking about, because what you'll find is you may not be able to log in and listen to music where you are in the world, but these 4 artist tools that I'm talking about are available wherever you are in the world. So later in this, when we get to Pandora, for example, Pandora is now only available in the US, but their artist marketing platform is available worldwide. So any artist that wants to reach their 60 million current monthly users are able to go in and actually make use of those features without having to have a subscription or having to have the app installed even. And that's the video that you can watch at your leisure of the pitch process for Anghami. But as you can see here, essentially it's a few simple clicks and prompts. But if you want to watch the full video, feel free to jump on that on my YouTube channel as well. I swear it's not a shameless plug for YouTube. I just want to make it available for everyone, and it's the easiest way to do so. Now we're up to Apple Music. We're still at the A's. So artists.apple.com is Apple's artist-facing platform. It's changed a lot, especially in the last few weeks. So I'm going to jump through a few of these slides a little quicker. But what I wanted to highlight here is a feature that's been in Apple Music for some time, and these are pre-ads. So as we can see here, this was recorded prior to the album release for Alicia Keys. And what happens is, before the album is out, some songs have been made available as instant grat or instant gratification tracks. You can do that for up to 49% of the tracks on the album, which means that a fan can see there's an album coming out, they can pre-add it to their library, and they can even go into the album and listen to some of the songs immediately. This is similar to what happens in iTunes, where people could pre-order an album and get some songs available immediately, but in this case it's also carried over to streaming. And for me it's a great opportunity to share with fans. On your profile, they can see immediately that there's a release coming up. They can add it to their library. They can start listening and playlisting those songs for themselves. And they get a notification as new songs are released from that album as well. And I just put this here because there's been times where someone said, hey, I don't see iTunes anymore, it doesn't exist. So this is the preferences in the latest version of the Apple Music app on your desktop. You can, in some cases, you actually have to turn it back on to see the iTunes store, but it is in fact still there. And then jumping ahead, there's a lot of updates for an artist profile in Apple Music. So the reason I like to talk about artist profiles in general is the first time someone discovers your music, they go to your profile. If they don't see an image or any information, any links about the artist, it's safe to assume that the artist is not present on that platform, and it's not very welcoming. So I encourage, and this doesn't need to be updated frequently. This is, once per year sometimes for artists, but you're basically saying, hey, you've discovered my music, let me tell you more about myself, let me show you, in some cases, where you can find me on social media and other locations, tour dates and things like that. So with Apple Music, as you can see here, you can include other names, hometown, biography, and if a biography hasn't been added for the artist, they have these prompts for a Q&A. So you can actually choose various questions and answer them to have them show on the profile. And it's actually been really fun because there's artists that will do it and they'll highlight specific songs from their catalog that they would like to direct new fans to as well. And they can include a fun story about that. Now, this is Apple Motion, which is starting to roll out and become more common in the app. As you can see, essentially there's moving images. In most cases, you'll see it on the cover art for the artist, but they're starting to also do the square images for the albums as well. So on the Apple TV, it's actually really fun. If you look up some artists, like, I don't have video of it, but Kate Renata's actually just like cruising around on your TV and showing off his new kicks and like looking down at you, and it's just a really fun way to add a little extra excitement and engagement for fans. And here's another example of what that looks like as well. So as you can see, for the album, the Apple Motion for the album, it's very subtle. It's just a simple movement. In some cases, part of the artwork may just move slightly. They're not trying to make it a movie in the cover by any means. And Apple Motion, some distributors are starting to roll out access to that currently as well. So at this time, it's best to just reach out to whoever you're working with and ask them. But I do know that Apple have been putting a lot of focus on this at the moment, and you'll see that on their social media as well. Another one from Apple is milestones. Now, I mentioned this earlier. These are shareable custom images that you could post on social media highlighting various milestones. It could be 100 Shazams in a new location. It could be a chart position on iTunes. It could be a playlist ad. It could be X number of all-time plays on a song as well. And I love these because you simply, actually I'll show you on the next screen here. No, never mind. That slide disappeared on me. So essentially the way it works is in the Apple Music for Artists app on your desktop or your phone. Personally, I prefer the phone for this. You'll see milestones as you're scrolling down the feed, and there'll be a share button. And you can simply share that milestone, an Instagram story, a tweet, Facebook, wherever you would like to post it. And it will also generate the text for you, including a link, so that you've got everything you need to basically just post that. And then on this slide here, there's new custom assets that they've just launched in Apple Music for Artists. This launched in the last few weeks. So this is where you can really customize the color. You can choose what assets you need, and they'll send them to you in a zip file. So you can get portrait, landscape, square, and you can customize those, and you've got shareable images, content, if you will, that you can share on socials. And just another quick example of what that looks like.
How do you get to this? Where is this?
Yeah, so this is in the Apple Music for Artists app you download on your phone, or you can go to artists.apple.com, and once you've got access, you'll be able to do all of this as well. And another look at the process of customizing those. And actually, I do have the slide, it was just tucked away. So essentially you can see the text is created, the link is included, and it pastes the image, and you just basically choose the milestone where you want to share it, and then you post. So they really have done most of the work for you with that, which is great. And that's obviously on the left what it looks like in the app on your phone. And then this example here is you can create a 29-second audio preview that will play directly in the Twitter feed in the app for people. So this means that while they're scrolling Twitter, they can actually press play and listen to a preview of your song without actually having to leave the feed. And then what this does is they have an option from here to listen to the song in its entirety in Apple Music. Now, one thing I would encourage you to do, and it's totally up to you how you feel about this, but Apple, Amazon, a lot of them have affiliate programs where it's free and you can have an affiliate link. So with Apple Music, you can actually, if you sign up as an Apple affiliate, which is free, you can include your Apple affiliate ID in these links and most things that you're sharing. And let's say someone goes to Twitter, they scroll down, they press play on the preview of your song, they like it, they go through and they subscribe to Apple Music. You actually get a cut from that, and it can be a few dollars, but in addition to what you're getting paid for that stream, it's a few dollars plus that stream. And it's the same amount of clicks for any fan, and it's more money for you just by adding that ID to the link. And I'm happy to talk about that more after this as well if anyone's curious about how that works, but it's pretty straightforward. They prompt you, they tell you where to find that ID, and I have actually checked to make sure that it's not frowned upon, and it's definitely not, because you're taking people from one platform to another. If they choose to subscribe, you deserve to benefit from that as well. And I'm going to give myself a talk break for a minute, and I'm going to play a video that I recorded earlier. So there's going to be some audio error just in case. But what I wanted to show you is there is a way that you can create a playlist as an artist in Apple Music and share that with your fans. And then when they go to that playlist and they tap on the curator name, it will go back to your artist profile. So I'm going to run this video. I'm going to grab a drink of water. You may notice I look a little different in this video. It was 2020 and I decided to do a home haircut. But what I'm going to show you right now is how to curate a playlist as an artist within Apple Music instead of as a user. Now, to do this, firstly, you will need to have gotten access to your artists in the Apple Music for Artists app or on artists.apple.com. Once you have access, you will need to download the Apple Music app onto your device and log in. Once you open the Apple Music app, you will go to Library down the bottom. Now you may need to do this by tapping the Edit button, but you will see that Admin is an option. Make sure you put the check mark in next to that, tap Done. Now if we tap on Admin, you'll see the list of artists that you manage. Tap on one of those artists and you'll see the option to create a new playlist. Now you can simply give the playlist a name and write in a short description. And you can even upload a picture as well if you choose. And you'll see there's an option show on my profile and in search. You definitely want this on when you're ready. And lastly, you tap add music and you can search all of the music within Apple Music and add tracks in as you choose. Once you're ready with your playlist, you tap done and you'll now see all of the playlists you've created for that artist. What you can do from here is you can tap on that playlist and you can tap these dots on the top right corner, go to share, and you can copy that link. That will allow you to share that on all of your social media, etc. What's good about this is if anybody clicks that link, goes to that playlist, enjoys it, saves it to their library, whenever they come back to it and they tap on the name of the curator, in this case, the artist curator, it will take them directly to the artist page. This is awesome for driving more traffic to your profile for you as an artist. And of course, if you're curating those playlists and you're getting a lot of people going and listening to those playlists, you're driving them to your music within the playlist, and then you're driving them from that playlist to your profile. Definitely worth doing. Set aside some time, create those playlists. Okay. Yeah, so essentially, that video was a much quicker way of explaining it, but you can create a playlist as the artist in Apple Music. You can see there was a few steps that you have to go through. I would love to see it become more simple moving forward, but right now, the only way to actually curate that playlist is in the Apple Music app on your phone. But I did want to point that out because official artist playlists are really cool. It's a great way for the artists to control what goes in that playlist and what people discover, and that's why I wanted to point that out. A couple of other things here with Apple Music. This one is if you've ever wanted to confirm that the release was delivered from your distributor to Apple Music and it's going to the right profile. This usually happens roughly 1 week after, let's say, just to be safe. But as you can see here, you will get the details for the upcoming release, and you also have the option to add the lyrics yourself. Now, the reason you want to do that is Apple have launched a new feature called Sing, which essentially is karaoke within Apple Music. And for a lot of songs where synchronized lyrics have been added, I don't know how they do it, it's pretty incredible, but you can go in there and you can actually solo the instrumentation or the vocals, or bring the vocals out and control individual volumes so that you could do karaoke. So you could say, I want to drop the vocals out here and I want to sing along to this track. I'll see if there's a video of that I've got in here, but I did a test of that with our music and we didn't opt in for anything. We just had synchronized lyrics added through Music's Match, which I'll get to later. And when I went into Apple Music and I saw this new feature, I went straight to my own music, and surely enough, I was able to remove the vocals and sing along, which was pretty cool. So I don't know how they did it, but they did it, and it works. And then that's just looking at the screen where you can add the lyrics. I'm gonna skip past this next video. The first way is, and so Audio Mac, just a quick one on Audio Mac. So they're starting to roll out a platform for creators. It's not available for everyone as far as all of the features. I believe you need to get a certain number of followers and things like that, similar to when Spotify for Artists first rolled out. But they do have a lot of really valuable information on there on Audio Mac for creators, so I did want to include them and mention them in this. Bandcamp. So a lot of people still buy music, and a lot of people get excited about various things on Bandcamp, which I'll talk about Bandcamp Friday in a minute. But for anyone that's not familiar, Bandcamp let you sell directly to your fans. You can sell your music, and you can include tour dates, and you can kind of customize it. And one of the features that they have is Bandcamp Daily. And this is potential for an editorial feature on Bandcamp. Now, this isn't a playlist. This isn't things like that. This is the potential for someone at Bandcamp to listen to your music and write about it in advance and feature it on Bandcamp, which is essentially putting it in front of new fans and maybe some returning fans. And I'll show you what that looks like on the next page. As you can see, various features there where they write about a release. But one thing I want to mention is they ask for a large amount of lead time. I believe last time I checked it was 12 weeks. So if you've got an album coming out later this year and it's in a position where you can share it, I definitely encourage doing that. And like I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of links and things like that. So feel free to reach out to me after this if you can't find any of these because they're changing constantly. And there's also a PDF that I'm happy to send out after this, just with all the links as well. And so this is really fun. I don't have an updated version of this, but there is a website called isitbandcampfriday.com. And this is because they have what's called Bandcamp Friday, where they don't take any commission. So if you spend $10 purchasing an album, the artist gets that $10. And so it's become a really fun time for fans to go on there and know that they can directly support that artist, make a purchase, and that money goes directly to the artist. So this website, when you go to isitbandcampfriday.com, we'll have a live countdown to the next Bandcamp Friday. And I've seen some artists get really smart with this, and I may have stolen their idea. But they've actually gone ahead and you can schedule social media posts in advance. So if you know the next Bandcamp Friday is on this date at this time, schedule a post now. So that leading up to that day, you can tell all your fans, hey, Bandcamp Friday is today. You've only got 24 hours and this is what happens. And it's a great way to encourage fans to make that purchase at that time as well, knowing that they can directly help the artist. Okay, and Bands in Town, just a quick mention on this as well. So Bands in Town integrates with SHAZAM, which integrates with Apple Music for artists. I always say fans will find you where they want to find you. So there's Songkick, there's Bands in Town, there's a number of different ways that you can tell your fans about upcoming shows. Bands in Town is definitely one of them, because if anyone SHAZAMs your song, they're going to see tour dates at the same time. So I don't know about speaking for myself here, but if I SHAZAM a song, it's because I may not know that artist or I haven't heard that song in a long time. Either way, if that artist is performing sometime soon near me, I want to make sure I know about that as well. So Boomplay. Who here has heard of Boomplay? Okay, just for fun, who hasn't heard of Boomplay? Awesome, I just wanted to give you a stretch break there. So Boomplay, the numbers that I saw mentioned recently, don't quote me on this, disclaimer's already been played, but last time I checked there was 75 million users. And Boomplay is mostly known across Africa. And one of the things that I find interesting is Boomplay have an integrated social platform, which I think is pretty rare for a music streaming platform. And I don't have a screenshot to show you of what that looks like, but essentially on a playlist or an album or an artist page, if you scroll down to the bottom, there'll be a feed of comments where anyone that's created an account and is logged in can actually leave comments. So you see fans asking questions. Sometimes you'll see the artist responding directly to them in the app. And it's super fun. I've seen artists use this and hide a merch code in the comments and encourage people to go to that profile as well. So, and once again, Boomplay, here in the United States, you may not see your music in there. But remember that in other parts of the world, people will see that as well. So you can get access to Boomplay for artists, and in this case, I did add the URL up the top there as well. But it's just a very simple form that you need to fill out, and then I was able to get access within about a week, and it's just another way to reach those fans where they listen. So we are up to D now, we're up to Deezer. So I won't make you do this for every single one, but who here is familiar with Deezer? Okay, great, cool.
I have one monthly listener.
You do?
Yeah.
Me too.
0 and 1.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. We've got to start somewhere. I love that. It's funny, there's artists that will have 100,000 monthly listeners on one app, and then they go into another one and they have one listener, but it wasn't them. And they get excited because they're like, I want to reach that person. I want to reach everyone else on this platform as well. So Deezer for artists is now known as Deezer for creators. They also have tools relating to podcasting on Deezer and things like that as well. But creators.deezer.com is where you sign up. And some of the unique features that you can get on there is you can do they call these highlights. So this is for, it's an artist pick, if you will, not exactly, but this is an opportunity to highlight something from your catalog. So an older song, an older album, but you can also highlight other things in Deezer, such as a podcast episode where the artist was a guest, or a playlist that you would like to highlight as well. And you can choose where it's visible and how long it's displayed for as well. And another thing that you can do in here is you can create a status update. It's 64 characters max, so they encourage you to keep it incredibly short. But I've seen artists once again use this to say new album coming on this date, or merch code to get a discount, or things like that. And okay, next up we have JioSaavn. I'm not gonna do the poll anymore, but this is JioSaavn, and I apologize if I've incorrectly pronounced. Please feel free to let me know. But they have last time I checked, over 160 million subscribers, headquartered in India, and their artist-facing platform is Artist One. So the sign up for this is artists.jiosaavn.com, and some of the tools that they have, this first one is shorties. So these are short looping visuals that will play when people are listening to your music on their phone. As you can see here, it's an opportunity to get creative. You get up to 15 seconds, and they encourage you to make it an endless loop. So people tend to just leave it up while they're listening to the music. And another feature here is you can create official artist playlists. So what's really good about this process is you would have a free account with JioSaavn, and you would have a private playlist where you drop the music in. Here you would connect that, and then they take care of all the branding for that playlist to make it look all official. So they take one of the official artist images you've uploaded, they take care of the name, the description, updating it, and they highlight them at the top of your artist profile. And so the first one is Artist Hits, which is essentially your catalog, music from the artists themselves, and the artist chooses what songs go into that playlist. The next one is Made By, which in my opinion should be curated by, but it's a playlist of music from any other artists. They have an opportunity to highlight that as well. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see you can add social media links and other information as well. Always add those social media links, because otherwise people can't find you and follow you on other platforms. And here's what the artwork looks like, and I feel terrible that this happened to my friend Sharif on the left. He was a good sport about it, but that's what the playlist looks like. As you can see, they take the image that you've uploaded and they put that in there. And we were talking about one listener before. I'm not sure if you can see it, but as you can see, Date Night is absolutely killing it on JioSaavn. I pressed the follow button and took a screenshot. But once again, now we have that presence on there. When anyone comes to the platform, it's going to look a lot more welcoming than just a silhouette of someone and no other information. Now the social media links have been added, the playlists are there, there's a photo. It looks like we're on that platform, and it looks welcoming.
I'm starving, waiting for my darling to make up her mind. Choose what we can eat tonight.
Oh my God.
'Cause my stomach's in so much pain.
Will you pick this?
What do you want? Why is it taking you so long?
I don't know what I want to eat.
I'm so hungry. I have starved every day waiting for you. Darling, I'm so afraid. I've been hungry for 1,000 years. Hungry for 1,000.
I promise that's not what it's like at home. We're very good at making decisions together. But yeah, I appreciate you letting me just put these little videos in for a quick talk break, as mentioned. We're up to P now, Pandora. So I mentioned earlier, Pandora is US-based only. Some people may be familiar, Pandora was in other countries. When I was still living in Australia, it was available, but now it's US only. But that being said, they still have a really strong presence here in the US. And they have a number of really helpful tools for artists. Once again, wherever you are in the world, you can get access to their artist marketing platform. And let's dive into some of the tools that they have. So that's Pandora AMP is their artist marketing platform. Some of the things that we'll talk about are featured tracks, artist voice messages, and for the curators in the room, some pretty cool stuff that they give you as a curator. So featured tracks, this is the easiest way to get more streams on your music, and what I like is there's no cost. It's a few clicks and it's a yes. There's no pitch process, there's no reviewing and potentially yes or no. It's, I have a song, I want more people to hear it, I want feedback. As a result, I get more listeners. So when you put a track up for a featured track in Pandora, it can go for up to 8 weeks, and they will put it in front of more listeners on their radio streaming part of the platform. So Pandora have on-demand, like Spotify, Apple, Amazon, but they also have a radio side, which they've gotten really good at over the years, of people that just say, play music and don't stop, and just keep playing and serving me music that I like. And so as you can see here from this example, this is a solo pianist, passaportu, and just by doing this, over the course of the campaign, an additional 3,752 spins were gained as a featured track. And what's great about this is that you can feature up to 6 tracks per year, 8 weeks per track. So 48 weeks out of the year, you've got a track on Pandora that's reaching more listeners. The only thing that you need to be able to do this is the track has to have been released in the last year, the last 12 months, and it has to have 10 listeners in the last 7 days, or 10 streams. Now, a friend at Pandora did tell me this, and they said it's okay to say this in this case. If you don't have 10 streams, play it 10 times. Come back next day. Don't do it more than that, but they did say, then you can feature that track. I certainly wouldn't encourage that in other cases, but then you'll be able to feature those tracks. And one fun use case I've seen for this is, let's say you released a track this year around a specific holiday and it didn't quite reach the audience, or you want to give it another chance. Next year, as long as it's within that first 12 months, you can feature that track leading up to that specific holiday again. So I know friends, just one example, Christmas. There are people that release Christmas music in November. Some people are crazy and release it in July. But the next year, as long as it's within that year, you can feature that track and get it in front of more listeners as well. And as I mentioned, it's totally free. You do it in the artist marketing platform. And it's a way for Pandora to get more people listening to your music, giving feedback, thumbs up, thumbs down, skipping it, so they know where it works, so that they can deliver it to the right listeners, and you get more spins as a result. And then Pandora added this feature, track reporting, where you can see, because obviously, not all of us have access to the platform, so we don't know how an artist is performing on there. So track reporting allows you to see all of the streams. Are they coming from radio? Are they coming from on demand? So someone's going and directly playing your music. Are they coming from other locations? You could see all of that in here as well. And this is video messages. So I don't have an example, but you can all imagine what waffle cakes sounds like. A talking waffle that plays piano. But these audio messages, once again, you can create from anywhere to reach people in Pandora. And you can do this from the desktop or from the Pandora app if you have that on your phone as well. It's just a short voice message that will play before or after a song of your choosing. And what's fun is you can customize these. So as you can see, you can include a link. So you can include a link to merchandise or a tour or things like that, artist website. And you also have the opportunity to localize it. And because Pandora is US only, if an artist is touring, they could be here 6 months out of the year. So they can have different voice messages. So there could be one that says, hey, Southern California, I'm going to be performing at San Diego, LA, Orange County on these dates. Here's a link to get your tickets, so that they're not reaching people in New York who can't make it. So you can localize those voice messages, which is super fun. Okay, and this is for the curators in the room, but that being said, I encourage all artists to do this as well. So in the Pandora app, as a user, you can log in, you can create your own playlists. But if you request access to what's called Pandora Stories, you actually have a tool within the artist marketing platform where you can curate. So you're not going into Pandora at all. And you can curate really fast because you can use ISRCs, you can import a spreadsheet. There's a lot of different ways that you can very quickly create these. And they have two types of programs you can create. One is playlists and the other is stations. And sometimes they'll call them mixtapes as well. But what's really cool about this for a curator is it's one thing to make that program, that playlist, that station. It's another to be able to see how many people are listening to that. So as you can see here, this is actually a program I created called Cafe Chill, where I put a lot of fun like soul music and funk and just laid back cafe music. And as you can see here, the total number of people that have listened to that program, the total number of spins it's generated, and the average listening time is over 6 hours. And I didn't do any promotion on this. I don't run ads on social media or anything. I just put it up, added a description, and I'll show you the keywords on the next page that everyone is encouraged to add. But for an artist, it's incredibly valuable because, of course, you can include your own music, but you can also help other artists. Labels can request access to this. Brands have been doing it. Individuals as well. So I just set up one for myself as me, just curating, because I love to curate playlists. And diving deeper into this is what they show you for the curator as well. So you get a look at the audience demographics and what platform they're listening on, and what regions they're located in as well. So it's cool to see this for an artist and know where your fans are, but now for a curator, you can actually see where people are listening. And down the bottom there, you'll see the search tags and the browse tags. They allow you to add up to 5 browse tags and up to 15 search tags. This is really big for discovery because I've found that in Pandora, they're very selective with how many editorial playlists they have. But for anyone that's created programming using their tool, it still ranks very highly in the search results. So discovery is very strong in Pandora. And one thing that I didn't know at the time was that, I don't know the exact number, but it was roughly 40% of people that were looking for a chill playlist on Pandora were actually requesting it using their voice, which tells me that they've got their AirPods in, or they've got their smart headphones in, or they've got a smart speaker in their house, they've got a voice assistant in their phone or their car. 40% of people that were looking for chill music were using their voice. So, I started to think about things like, well, what would I ask for if I was using my voice? I'd be like, play a cafe playlist, play cafe music, diner music, play Starbucks music, But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and if you like curating, it's definitely worth doing. And then they even go even deeper. They actually show you the completion rate and the skip rate for every song in the playlist. And why this is helpful, it gives you an idea of what people are enjoying in the playlist, what they're skipping. Completion rate is they listen for more than 30 seconds. Skip rate is they skip within the first 30 seconds. And I had one playlist where there was a song that had like a 75% skip rate. And I thought that was really weird. And I looked at it, and it was related to a specific holiday that had passed. And so everyone was hearing it and just going, what is this? I don't want to hear this right now. And they were skipping. So by seeing that, I was able to go in and quickly remove that from my programming as well. But yeah, completion rates and skip rates. And this is the last nerdy deep dive into the curation side. But you can see the daily spins as well. And a spin is a stream, essentially. but because it's radio, they like to say spins. And that's what it looks like in the dashboard for Pandora Stories once you get access. And the link to sign up, once again, feel free to, it's probably the first search result in most search engines if you type Pandora AMP Stories sign up. Otherwise, the URL is very long, so I won't read it to you right now. But I definitely recommend doing that. Cobuzz, so, and pronunciation, forgive me. I've heard Quobuzz, I've heard Cobuzz. I say Cobuzz. Right now, they don't have a direct artist-facing platform, but a lot of people that are into really high fidelity music, a lot of solo pianists and a lot of classical leaning artists are really interested in having a presence on here. So there is a form that you can follow where you can update your artist profiles on there as well. So I just wanted to mention them. Then on to SoundCloud. So they recently revamped SoundCloud for artists. And some of the new features they added, as you can see, well, if you're familiar with SoundCloud, this is a very nice looking interface. It's a little different from how it looked previously. But some of the new features that they've added are the ability to pitch your music for different opportunities. And one of those is actually pitching for consideration for SiriusXM programming. So at this time, they're only looking for music that falls within hip hop and rap. But there seems to be a lot of people releasing hip hop and rap on SoundCloud. So it's a great starting point. And they also have the opportunity to pitch for Beatport and a few other platforms there as well, such as BeatSource, which feeds music directly to DJs. I should just mention though, that I have heard reports that some of these features are tucked away behind a paid tier on SoundCloud for artists. So if you see that, I do apologize. But when I logged into my free SoundCloud account, I did see these at the time. And then other features they've recently added is smart links. And smart links are essentially landing pages for your tracks where you can share the links to your music on all other streaming platforms. So you're going to find that most of them will do this now as well, and they all want the #1 spot. But SoundCloud's jumped on that. And I don't have a screenshot of it, but in the middle there, next to Smart Links, there's a tool called SC Planner. Now this has existed for a long time as a third-party tool, and it's really cool to see SoundCloud including this. Essentially, what people have been doing for years on SoundCloud is doing repost trades, where they've been saying, hey, you and I make similar music, let's share each other's music with each other's audiences. You know, I've got 10,000 followers, you've got 10,000, let's do this. And then they would repost that track by clicking the repost button, and it would put it into their feed for their followers, and vice versa. So SC Planner actually is a tool that automates that. So you can say, I want to repost on these days and remove that repost 1 week later so I don't overtake my feed with other people's music, and it actually does it for you. So there's no, same time, I don't trust you kind of thing. It does that on both sides. So the reposts happen and then they get taken down after. And it's a pretty handy tool, and it's a great way to reach more people on SoundCloud as well. Yes?
So you reach the people through the SC Planner, or do you have to make the connection first and then go to the planner?
So I have seen suggestions in there, but in most cases you would reach the people first and say, let's do this, just because otherwise I can imagine it would get crazy. Yeah. So SoundCloud also added the feature recently. Well, I don't know why this is new. I feel like they've had this for a long time, but they made a big deal about the fact that you can direct message in SoundCloud, which I know that now they've added it in the mobile app. So for an artist, there's an opportunity that a fan can message them directly in the app and vice versa, as opposed to going on the computer and sitting there and going through it. And okay, I've got one more little talk break scheduled because I need some water. Give me 1 sec.
Wake up, grab a brush and put a little makeup.
Hide the scars to fade away to shake up. Why'd you leave the keys up on the table?
And onto Spotify. So I'm going to assume that most of you are familiar with Spotify, but Spotify for Artists has been out for many years. And instead of going over the tools that most people are familiar with, I try to challenge myself to at least show you one thing that you're not already aware of that they have available. Because there's a lot of tools that they've made that they've put up on various websites, and then they eventually integrate them into Spotify for Artists. So a quick summary of what has existed in Spotify for some time: the ability to submit upcoming music for editorial consideration. Yes, playlists, but there's so much more than that by filling out these forms. If you submit a new original song that hasn't been released before, it's not a remix, and you do that at least 7 days prior to street date or the date it goes live, it will go into release radar for all of your followers. It may happen without you doing this, but this is the best way to make sure it happens. And if you have 500 followers, you'll go into 500 release radars and you will reach them just by doing this. The other thing that can happen is, I didn't mention it earlier, I don't think, but the largest playlist for my own music personally and a lot of artist friends that they've had streams from throughout their entire career so far has been Discover Weekly on Spotify. So we're currently sitting at 2.2 million streams from Discover Weekly. And of course, that's over 20 songs that have been added over time. But because we fill out this submission form every time we release a new song in advance, we may not get playlists on release day, we may not get editorial playlists at all, but 3 months later, 6 months later, 1 year, 2 years later, we start getting discovered in Discover Weekly by more fans. And as a result, that is the largest driver of new fans and streams for our music, just by filling out these forms. So I always like to encourage everyone to think beyond just, I'm filling out this form banking on getting a playlist, and look at it as, I'm filling out this form for the long term. I'm filling out this form to reach people ongoing. And especially, as I mentioned, AI, we're going to get to what that looks like. This is a perfect example. You're adding all that additional information to your music so that whatever happens moving forward, if it's not playlists, if it's radio, if it's something else, you've given your music every possible chance to reach more people by adding that additional information. I'm going to skip this video that I had here. This is a walkthrough of how to create a Spotify canvas. But for anyone that's not familiar, Spotify Canvas is a looping visual that plays in the app in your phone when fans are listening to your music. Because Spotify just recently changed the user interface in the app, it's very visual now. Some people say it looks like a TikTok kind of feed. Essentially, they're encouraging you to keep scrolling and discovering and find what you're looking for quicker. And by having a canvas uploaded with your music, you now have a visual that's capturing people's attention before that audio even starts playing. So visual is going to become even more important moving forward. Spotify, and so these are Spotify codes. So Spotify have a separate website for this right now. It's spotifycodes.com. These are scannable codes that you can create, you can customize. And as you can see here, you can put them on clothing, you can put them on flyers. Last year, I saw some in the wild at South by Southwest, and I took a photo because I was very excited to see. But it's a great way for people to get directly to where you would like them in the Spotify app. And what I mean by that is, if you open the Spotify app, there's a magnifying glass next to the search bar. Point your phone at the code and it launches directly into that song, playlist, artist, audiobooks now as well, whatever that is. And it's much easier than telling people, hey, go to Spotify, type in my artist name, scroll down, it's the picture of this, tap on that. You could just direct them much quicker, and it's a fun process as well. I always find myself scanning codes out in the wild, so I can assure you it works. And so this was just some interesting information. This came directly from the Spotify for Artists blog. but just on the merch side, because they do have an integration with Shopify, which I know is a tongue twister, where you can sell your merch directly in Spotify. And just some quick facts up there that they had. I won't read all of them at this time. I'll let you go through that on the replay. But some that were interesting was that more than half of all merch clicks come in the first 24 days after a new release. And why I find that important is if you have a new release and the artwork is cool, release some merch to tie in with that as well. We're going to see moving forward, a lot of these streaming platforms are going to start having merch that relates to a release, and it will show on that page. So if you drop a new album, all the merch that relates to that new album will be on the page. And I'm hoping that we see things such as the album's coming, here's the tour dates, here's the merch, all in one place, so you can help your fans to discover all of that as well. These are promo cards. So similar to what we've seen with some of the other platforms, these are shareable custom graphics that you can create to highlight different milestones. So in this example here, it's reaching a certain number of followers on Spotify. You can also use it to just simply show that you have music on Spotify if you'd like. And then some other use cases for these. As you can see here, you can use it to highlight a live show. So Spotify have an integration with Songkick where you can actually show the two. You can use it to highlight a new release up the top, and the followers and the general artist card you can see on the bottom there as well. And Spotify have started beta testing. So this was an interesting one. For anyone that's not familiar, Beyonce dropped a new album last year, and when Break My Soul came out as the debut single, I went into Spotify and I thought it was really interesting. I'll show you actually what it looks like on the profile here. You could actually purchase the digital single, the MP3 file of Break My Soul from her artist profile in Spotify. And so this is using the Shopify integration. And then after clicking on that, I was able to go here, and you can even pick the quantity as well if anyone wants 10 MP3 files of the same song. But you know, I just thought that was interesting that they're playing nice, and it was a cool little thing that I wasn't aware of. So I've seen other artists do this since, and it's just another opportunity to say to fans, hey, if you want to own my music, you know, I mean, yes, you could sell vinyl. Taylor Swift sold cassette tapes. You could sell whatever you want on your Spotify artist profile, and digital files, digital downloads are totally working right now. I can't recall the artist, but they released a book and they were actually selling their book on their artist page in Spotify as well. So I'm going to skip past that. That was a video of the editorial pitching process at Spotify. Once again, there's a full video on YouTube, which goes step by step. I just wanted to highlight this. So Spotify have some playlists which are known as personalized editorial playlists, which means they can have millions of followers, everyone follows that playlist, but the songs within that playlist are different for each individual listener. So essentially, they could have a pool of, let's say, for a larger playlist, a couple of thousand songs. And depending on who is logged in and listening to that playlist, the music in that playlist will be different. So what's happened is there's been artists that have got all excited, taken a screenshot, told their fans, I'm in this playlist. Their fans go looking and they can't find their song. And so one workaround that helps for the first week, if you get added to one of these, and it's very obvious, you'll get an email notification, you'll see it in the app. But one workaround is, you'll see here from this example that songs to sing in the car and happy hits, it will say, this is a personalized editorial playlist. Yes, it has 6.9 million followers, but that doesn't mean you're in that playlist for all of them or in the same position. So within the first 7 days, they give you the opportunity to copy a unique link. If you share that link and fans click that, for the first 24 hours following that click, whenever they go to that playlist, your song is there in #1 position. So there's no more awkward moments where you say, hey, I'm in this playlist, people seek it out and you're not there. You give them that link and your song will be in the top position for the first 24 hours after they've clicked that link. And that's the same for everyone that does that. There are a few things where I've noticed at this time, it only works if they do that on mobile, which in most cases is good for social media. But I noticed on desktop, sometimes the song won't show in that #1 position, which is frustrating, but definitely worth doing, because it's one thing to say you're in a playlist, but if not everyone sees it, this is the workaround for that. And I'm just going to skip through some of these, actually. Okay, we're going to start getting into, we'll skip these. Tidal. Okay, so Tidal, they've just started rolling out their artist home. It's still technically in beta, but they've given the all clear to talk about this and share the information. Anyone can request access. At this time, they're still rolling out some features, but right now you can, at the very least, you can go in and claim your artist profile. You can do things such as correct any incorrect information. For anyone that's not familiar, Tidal is really good at showing producers, engineers, singer-songwriters, and giving them their own profiles within Tidal. And it allows you to correct any of that information or a song that maybe belongs to someone else. You can do that once you sign up and get access. And just a quick look at what it looks like once you log in. You can add a biography, you can change your image up the top. You can add your social media URLs there as well. And then, as I mentioned, you can report inaccurate content. So if there's anything with your profile you want to fix, they ask you very specific details, but you're able to at least correct that. Because I know that there's been some artists where it happens. You go to a new platform or a new app and you see that you've got 2 artist profiles, or a song that isn't yours is showing on there. So you've got the opportunity to correct that. And I just wanted to mention this. I definitely would encourage you to do your own research about this program, but Tidal have just relaunched a program they have called Tidal Rising. And what that does is, this year, they're going to be doing this for hundreds of artists. Previously, it was a small number of artists they selected. Now they've opened submission up to anyone. And they're doing this for hundreds of artists. But they're going to start giving them extra things. So obviously, extra opportunities within Tidal, but also opportunities off-platform as well. So this is, of course, their official information on that. But there's also going to be potential funding that they're looking to give to artists, and they're not asking for anything in return that I'm aware of, other than just, you can spend this however you choose, but we appreciate what you're doing and we want to give you some encouragement. Submission is free, of course, like everything I'm talking about here today. And this is directly with Tidal. And the new site that they've created, where you'll see the sign up buttons right there, it's kind of cut off by the projector, but it's tidal.com/4artists. And that's where you can go in and you can request access to the new Tidal for Artists home. And you can also sign up and fill out the very short form for consideration for Tidal Rising as well. Obviously they're looking for artists that haven't already had a significant amount of support from another platform, so they're at an earlier stage as far as on streaming music platforms, not necessarily at an earlier stage in their career, but they really want to be able to help them and give them that boost. So TikTok, I'm just threw this in here as a quick one. Some people aren't familiar, but anyone that wants to geek out on the analytics for their TikTok profile, on a desktop computer, you can go to tiktok.com/analytics, and it has this nice breakdown of how much engagement you've had in your live streams and what that looks like with all of your posts and things like that as well. Moving forward, I'd like to see even more on this relating to the music side, so official sounds and things like that from artists, but it's just something that I wanted to make sure I included here today.
you know anything about linking your artist music profile to TikTok? Because some people do have that. Some profiles I see they've actually got their official, like, because TikTok actually started as a music app, right? So some people still have that where it's connected and they actually have a music profile.
Yeah.
And when someone plays does a reel or remixes a reel with your music, it'll link back to your profile. But I can't get it to work.
Yeah, okay. So the question was linking a TikTok music to a artist profile and having them connected properly. So what I've seen so far is it's in the hands of the distributors who have those relationships to actually be able to do that. So for me personally, I reached out to my distributor and said, can I connect this TikTok profile I've created? Here's examples of my music. I found the link to the sound in the TikTok desktop app on my web browser, and they were able to connect the two. I'm sure there'll be a process moving forward, but right now that's what I've seen. It's kind of similar to how YouTube is with their official artist channels. But yeah, I guess until they have a simpler verification process, they need to be a little careful with that so someone doesn't just say that they're an artist and take over their profile. Okay, so a few quick things on YouTube. One thing that I really wanted to mention about YouTube is that they've gone all in on YouTube Shorts. So this is their short form content. I know that there's always jokes that other apps are going more long form content and YouTube are going shorter, but one thing that I've seen personally when I've uploaded on there and other artists is there's just a significant level of engagement from people that aren't even subscribed to the channel yet. And that's because they're pushing it within the feed. And YouTube Shorts will show for people in the mobile app, but they will also play in the apps on TVs and things like that. So you potentially got a lot more reach with the short form content beyond just a mobile phone device. And a few use cases I've seen recently we'll get to, but one of them that is really cool is green screen. So artists have essentially said, I don't want to worry about the background, I just want to throw up artwork for my upcoming release and then talk in front of that. And it's a great way to just have a quick conversation and have a video as opposed to feeling like it needs to be fully polished, which in most cases is totally unnecessary. And the other thing with YouTube Shorts is that you see that there's a lot of discovery in the feed. They're pushing it very heavily to the point where there's artists that will have 1 or 2 subscribers and they've just signed up and they'll post a video and YouTube will put it in front of more eyes, and if it resonates, that will lead to subscribers, it will lead to a lot of views and potentially opportunities that they're rolling out this year as well. But this is direct from YouTube. This is just a few different use cases and examples of how Shorts has been used by artists, I should mention. So, on the left, you've got the example of the green screen where you've got a photo and just standing in front of, you could be standing in front of anything and it will essentially remove the background and put the photo in there. You've got an example of collaboration. You've got an example of pre-show ritual. These are just content ideas more than anything, of course. And then you've got clips of behind the scenes content. And then other use cases, teasing unreleased music, sharing music as it's being created from the studio, sharing a cover or a different spin on a track, whether it's your own or someone else's as well. And actually, on that one, also putting the lyrics up on the screen. May not be as obvious to some of us, but not everyone is on social media with their volume up. So having text on the screen is extremely helpful. And also it's great for SEO as well because people can search that text. So it's really going to help with discovery. And then just a few more content ideas, speeding up or slowing down a snippet of a clip, repurposing old music videos. So as you can see, zooming in on part of that music video to fill the screen, sharing a story and sharing the meaning behind a song as well. And I'm not going to run through this because I'll let you do this at your leisure, but they've just updated the YouTube for Artists site. So you can go to artists.youtube.com. That's where you can get a lot of new information, especially around shorts. And it will give you those content ideas and it will show you how to get started. I should mention with shorts, at this time, the only way that you can do it is with the mobile app. So you need to download the YouTube app and upload those. And I realize we only got 10 minutes left. Lyrics, I mentioned these earlier. So real quick one, a lot of these apps they'll show the lyrics while you're listening to the music. They'll also have synchronized lyrics so people can sing along. In the case of Apple, we mentioned earlier, they've got the karaoke feature where people can bring the vocals out and sing along in real time. So Music's Match is used by a lot of these platforms to deliver those lyrics and to also actually go through and synchronize them. And just to let you know, there's other reasons why it's important to upload your lyrics. So they will actually distribute them to various places. One of them is Google. And there's been artists that have actually said, hey, someone found my song because they wrote these words into Google and the lyrics for my song came up. And then they went and listened to it. So, you know, it's a very interesting way for discovery. The other thing is a lot of people are using their voice and they may not know the name of a song. So in the case of Amazon they could be saying, Alexa, play the song that goes, I just took a DNA test, turns out, and you know, Lizzo would play. And then with Shazam, they'll show the lyrics in there as well. So there's a number of different ways that you can reach more people beyond just music streaming apps there. And then a couple of fun apps that I wanted to share that I've discovered. Again, most of these are free right now, but if you do see a paid option, that certainly wasn't my intention. But these are just fun apps that I've seen that have started to roll out. So this one is onesheet.club. And full disclosure, I previously was working with Chartmetric and this was recently acquired by them, but at this time it's free while they're still rolling this out. But they create a live one sheet that's hosted online that always updates every 24 hours with all of your followings across social media, your stream counts, and all of your information in general. So for an artist that doesn't like constantly updating their one sheet or their press release, it's great to have that hosted online because you don't have to go in and keep typing in, yeah, I've now got this many followers on Instagram or this or that. It just updates every day for you.
Does it give you a graph in the login?
As in?
Like, is it just daily and then it's gone the next day, or does it record everything every day?
It's updated every day.
Yeah, it's updated every day. So it's always just what it is right now.
But I could at least go there and write down everything.
Oh yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, it's this is just for the visual for the one sheet. You know, there's platforms like, in all fairness, I'll say them, but there's Sound Charts, there's Spot on Track, there's Chartmetric, there's Vibrate. There's a number of different platforms that will monitor all of that daily for you. But yeah, this one is just purely a fun app for creating a one sheet that's hosted online and updates daily. And this one I've seen recently is just rolled out as well. It's called Playlist AI. Just a fun tool that you can play with where you can type in some artists you like and it will generate a playlist for you using AI. What I think is more fun is you could upload an image. So you can upload a flyer for Coachella or a festival or an event, and it will scan the artists on there and it will make a playlist with those artists for you. And we're talking seconds. So super fun way to do that, because there's been a lot of events where I've gone and I've heard new artists that I've never heard before. And I do my best to try and find them after, but take a photo, upload it, and I've got a playlist ready for me. And this one is superfridaychart.com. So this is another free tool. This scans all of the Spotify New Music Fridays globally every week, and it tells you how many New Music Fridays a song has appeared in, and you can actually click through on that and get links to all of them. So for anyone that's not aware, there's a different New Music Friday in almost every country around the world now, because different people in different locations listen to different music. And so this is just a really cool way to see how many New Music Fridays a song has been placed in and where around the world, so that you can try and reach those fans and share the good news as well. And I set this up so I get an email every Friday for specific artists, just so I don't miss anything as well. I'm more than happy to get an email on a Friday with news like this. And the next one this relates to Beatport. So this tool was just re-released recently. Beatport is a digital download site where a lot of people will go and purchase extended mixes of music for DJ sets and things like that. So this will track all of the charts on Beatport, and
Is it called Beatport Tracker?
it's bptoptracker.com. Yeah. And this tool here is just a fun tool. This isn't actually live, of course, but this is called EarthCam, and I think it's earthcam.com. And you don't log in, you don't create an account or anything, but you can view various live cameras from around the world. And so I've seen artists use this because they were featured in Times Square, or an artist had some posters put up on a street corner, and you can actually go to the live camera and see what's happening at that time. So, this was just me screen recording my computer, and you can see it's pretty good quality. There is options to pay for higher quality, but honestly, I think it's fine. But just a cool tool that I wanted to highlight more than anything. And let's talk about AI really quickly. And I got a video of AI in action that I just wanted to share with all of you. And that's how playlists are made. But in all seriousness, I mean, we are a little terrified of AI, and that's understandable because this shit could happen in 5 years. But some of the tools that have come out, I tried to find creative ways that we could utilize them for an artist, as opposed to being terrified that it's going to take over, I don't know what I'm trying to say there, that it's going to take over and destroy us all. But this example here, is anyone not familiar with ChatGPT? Okay, so ChatGPT is an AI tool that you give it a prompt, as you can see up the top here, and it will spit things out for you. Sometimes it's pretty good, sometimes it's terrible, sometimes it gets into an argument with itself. But what I did here for this example is Spotify, when you're pitching a song using their form, it has to be 500 characters or less. So what I did was I just added a prompt here, and I'll read the prompt just quickly. So I said, write a pitch for a new song in 500 characters or less. The pitch is for a song called I Love Robots, and the artist's name is Arnold Terminator. The song is about how the future is fast approaching and humans are feeling unprepared. This song has intense guitar riffs and heavy drums throughout. The vocalist is female and screams loudly throughout the song about how the machines are taking over. Make sure to include the following keywords: new blood, metal, and kick-ass metal. And they just happen to be some very big playlists. So take from that what you will. And then I won't read the whole thing, but I'll just give you a little teaser. It's actually pretty good. So this is what ChatGPT wrote for me. Get ready to rock out to Arnold Terminator's latest hit, I Love Robots. This kick-ass metal track will have you headbanging from start to finish with intense guitar riffs and heavy drums throughout. The song explores the fear and excitement of a future dominated by machines, with lyrics that will resonate with anyone feeling unprepared for what's to come. The powerful female vocalist screams loudly about the new blood in technology and how metal is taking over. This is a song that will leave you feeling energized and ready to take on whatever the future holds. So crank up the volume and get ready to rock with Arnold Teaminator's I Love Robots. So it's interesting. Like, for me, I'm not good with words, in case you couldn't tell, but this is great because you give some prompts. You say, I need you to say this and this and this. I need you to include these keywords. I need you to mention this. And it does it. And you can take from that, you can tweak it slightly as you need, but it's actually been pretty helpful for artists when it comes to writing that pitch, because some artists don't like to toot their own horn, or they're very humble, and this can help with that as well. This is just a fun example. Calling out myself here on this. This was a song we released many years ago in the top right-hand corner, but it's not necessarily completely AI related, but there are AI generators that are using stock images. But we used a royalty-free image, and there's a lot of websites that say you can use this image any way you want. You can use it as a book cover, you can use it on your music release, whatever you want, it's royalty-free. That's great, but the problem is everyone's using that. So as you can see on the left-hand side here, when looking to book hotels recently, I did a double take, and I was like, hold up a minute. And then I went onto Google image search and I uploaded that image. There was thousands of releases with that same artwork. And so I was like, that's gonna get noticed eventually. I wanna be unique. So this was a few years ago when we released, and we just used whatever we could. But now we make an effort to always use original artwork. So in this case, yes, it's a picture of the ocean and people splashing in the sun, but there's no reason why we couldn't have a picture like that in our photo library. We could have used ourselves. And that's what we do now. We find inspiration for a photo that we see online, and then we look for photos from our travels or anything like that, and we use our own photos, so it's personal. This one's interesting. I only heard about this yesterday, so I haven't had the opportunity to play with it too much, but just a little bit of fun more than terrifying. It's these lyrics do not exist, and it generates completely original lyrics that aren't recorded anywhere online that haven't been used before. So I don't think it's guaranteeing that it's not plagiaristic, but if you're just playing with it for fun, it could be an idea just to generate some lyrics and help you along the way. I don't think it's going to write a hit song for you, but if you're like, I want to write a song about this weird Australian guy that's been talking for too long, you can put that in there and then it will generate the lyrics for you.
What's the website for that?
TheseLyricsDoNotExist.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
So assuming it only generates in English.
Yeah, at this time I haven't seen other options yet, but you could always take them and put them into ChatGPT and hope for the best that they'll translate.
ChatGPT songs suck.
They do. That's why I'm not worried about it yet. And then this one as well, I only just saw yesterday, so I haven't had the opportunity to completely play around. But this is a song starter. It's not creating an entire song for you. You're just saying, I want to make a song, this mood, these instruments, and it gives you a very basic idea. It's not something that's release ready, but just an interesting idea, I thought, for an artist that's like completely blank on where to start for their next track. Might help spark some creativity. Okay, I'm just gonna jump through a few more slides here. Okay, so I did mention that I'm gonna hang around after for Q&A as well. But before I do that, I'm just going to do a couple of shameless plug slides, if that's okay. So for anyone that's not familiar, my book, Work Hard, Playlist Hard, is out. It's in paperback, audiobook, and ebook. And it's actually available right here at the convention center. I went up there this morning and took a look. So it's up on level 3 in the convention center, room 10C. The good thing about that is that it's actually an independent bookstore that is stocking it and selling it. So money's going back into independent bookstores, not into a major chain, which is important. I self-published the book, registered the ISBN myself, and set the maximum discount for independent bookstores because my goal isn't to make money from the book. It's, if I break even, that's great, but I got a day job that pays the bills. And they're here right now watching me. Hey, Alejandro.
Saying you should send it to the Painted Porch, a very good bookstore, independent bookstore in Texas.
Okay, the Painted Porch bookstore. Okay,
Right on holidays.
okay. And there is an audiobook on Audible and everywhere audiobooks are. It's also on Spotify, which some people still aren't aware that audiobooks exist in Spotify now. And of course, I made use of Spotify codes there just to show what that looks like. And the book is also going to be available in Spanish next week. So I didn't translate it myself, but my good friend Erica Parr, who couldn't be here with us today, she couldn't make the journey. She translated and completely rewrote it in Spanish. And she's been in music her entire life, so it's very exciting. So that website is going to be live next week, but the QR code up the top there, and I'll leave that up at the end of this as well. You'll be able to go and find information, blog posts about that now as well. And then the last thing, I have a LinkedIn learning course that I created as an official instructor. So for anyone that's looking to get certified in music marketing and a lot of the things that I've covered, you can actually do the course and you can get a certification that will show on your LinkedIn profile. And it will show that you're certified in music release strategies, I should say. I don't know why I need the arrow. And you get a certificate at the end. And that's enough of the shameless plugs. I'm going to leave this screen up. I understand we've gone over time. I appreciate you all staying with me for so long. I'm happy to stick around for Q&A. Oh, hey, good to see you, mate. Sorry, I'm looking around the room and seeing people I haven't seen in years. This is crazy. These guys are from my hometown in Adelaide, South Australia. They're over here. Adam and James, great to see you guys. So yeah, I'm going to leave that up. We'll jump into Q&A, but I understand if anyone else needs to run. Otherwise, I'm here for as long as we need until my voice runs out. And
The presentation is here?
sorry?
The link to the presentation is here?
Yeah, it'll be uploaded on my YouTube channel next week. If you scan the QR code, my YouTube channel should be the top link. But yeah, thank you all so much for your time, and thank you for joining me, and I appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, Q&A for anyone that wants to. I mean, I may not need this depending on how